What do most parties have in common? Cake. Whether it be a kid's birthday party with their favorite cartoon character piped onto the top, a beautiful anniversary cake with frosting roses, a graduation cake with a plastic diploma and hat, a 4-tiered wedding cake, or a baby shower cake with little pink and blue frosting booties. Every gathering almost always has cake. Have you ever seen such a beautiful cake that you just had to know who decorated it? Well, let me tell you how 16 years ago, with a strange twist of fate, I became a cake decorator. First, let's start with the basics. A little bit about the history of cake decorating. Cake decorating as we know it today started in the 1840s and was said to have originated in France, which makes sense because of all the beautiful and delicious pastries that come out of Paris. It started out with a fairly difficult method of dimensional overpiping. This was an Old English method where cakes are covered in fondant and then overpipe borders. According to Ernest Chalhoub, a lot of the same tools that were used to decorate back then are still used today, although they are made out of plastic now instead of bone. That's right, bone. As we just heard, back in the early days of cake decorating, they used fondant to make their cakes look nice. So this raises the question, which is better, fondant or buttercream? Anybody who decorates cakes or even has had a cake before has their opinions on whether they prefer fondant or buttercream. Fondant, which can make the cake look smoother and neater. Also, you can do different animals and shapes and things you just wouldn't be able to achieve with buttercream. Is said to have a more doughy taste, not very pleasurable. However, buttercream, in my opinion, is very pleasurable to eat. I myself like to decorate with buttercream. I find it easier to work with because that's how I was taught to decorate. Now, let's learn some of the most popular cake decorators we have in the world right now. We have Ace of Cakes himself, Duff Goldman, head judge of Food Network's Cupcake Wars, Florian Bellinger, Natalie Surfside, who is the host of Texas Cake House, and Lori Shannon, who has over 3 million subscribers on her YouTube channel. There are just a few of the cake decorators out there, but if you look at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or even TikTok, you'll find the talent is boundless in the cake decorating field. Now, I bet you're wondering, how did I fall into the world of cakes? Well, it's kind of a weird and fateful moment. 16 years ago, I applied at a popular grocery store chain to be a cashier, something I had done when I was a teenager. They called me in for an interview, but it was for the bakery. I was confused, but went with it. They asked me one question, if I had ever done any decorating before. I said no, but one time at my old job as a cashier, the bakery was closed and someone needed happy birthday written on a cake, so I did that. Well, apparently that's all they needed to hear because I got hired. Now, if you've ever applied to be a cake decorator before, you know that is not the norm. They usually want to see what you can do. They have you ice a cake, do borders, write on it, and do the buttercream rose. That's right, buttercream roses are a very important skill for any cake decorator. At the time, though, I was young and thought this was the process. So this place must have been pretty desperate to put me back in the bakery. I started out just icing cupcakes. I'm talking thousands of cupcakes. And learning all I could from the head decorator who had been doing this for 25 years and took me under her wings and taught me everything she knew for the next 2 years. At the end of those 2 years, I could pipe roses, borders, baby booties, animals, balloons, and much more onto a cake. I soon moved to Illinois and worked for 10 years at another grocery store chain before leaving 4 years ago to have my own cake business out of my home, where I made not just cakes, but also decorated cookies as well. Have you ever seen the movie Ratatouille? The chef believes that anyone can cook. Well, I think everyone can decorate a cake. It just takes practice and patience. This is coming from someone who had no experience when they became a decorator to having my own business. So where do you start? YouTube. That's right, YouTube. That's where I watch countless videos over and over trying to perfect the frosting rose so I can impress the head decorator at the first job. There are thousands of videos on YouTube on how to decorate a cake for any occasion. And if you are interested in working with fondant, you can find countless videos on that as well. There are videos all over Facebook of people making interesting cakes, tacos, and Starbucks cups, and anything that you could ever think of. So take my advice and just try it. Go to your local Walmart or Michael's, get a couple tips, a couple bags, a rose nail, which looks like this, and some frosting. That's all you need to practice the basics. You may find yourself the next Duff Goldman, or just be able to make a beautiful cake for your family gathering and impress everyone. Now stay tuned for a clip of some of my cakes.